Hey guys, welcome back. I started to figure out in these live streams that the quality was drastically reduced when I went ahead and put my screen capture on. So what I want to do now is just kind of make sure everything is working, and then I'm going to quickly go over in like 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That was 15 minutes. What exactly I think about the coaster market and what you can do for cutting coasters and stuff like that. So we're going to switch over to this Google search that I did. And I am feeling that based on that crappy little stream I did and what has gone through my mind, I want to leave you with one takeaway from someone that has created tons of coasters. But anyways, I want to welcome everyone back to Laser Cache, a show that I've created that is not starting out great because of technical issues, but I want to talk about making money with your laser cutter. And today we're talking about coasters. One of the first things that I want to mention to you is that it's important for you to understand that even though that something historically has been cheap, okay, or inexpensive, like a coaster, for example. I don't know whether or not in your house, whether or not you consider a coaster to be like an expensive thing, but you have to reframe your mind about coasters, because coasters, if you really want to make money with coasters, you're going to have to potentially think about pricing them much higher than you normally have. And what that means is that you have to look at markets that are not necessarily the people that would buy dollar store coasters. Okay, so the biggest takeaway, so if you jump off the stream, that seems to be working now, is that you have two types of time frames when making a coaster. You have the cutout coasters, which a lot of these are. Cuts are really fast in a laser cutter, and if you're trying to maximize that, you want to do two things that maximize your proficiency with laser cutting coasters. Don't etch them, okay? Think about doing a metal stamp or something else that's much faster than an engrave, okay? For smaller quantity runs, you want to do that. But if you looked at the per hour cost of what it costs to run electricity, your time, watching it and stuff like that, unless you're retired, I'd say you need to think about making your blank, whether or not it's Avenger coasters or whatever else, and then going ahead and stamping the information on there. So that's the number one takeaway. Now what we're going to do is going to go through and we're going to look at some of these coasters, and I'm going to tell you my opinion in terms of what I think would sell. Now, we're looking over here to the right, and I'm going to move this over a little bit right here, because I want you to see the larger image. And the reason why that I like these is that when you do the cutout version right here, you're getting that feeling of an etch, but you're not spending the resources, the time resources that you would spend on a design. So same thing goes for this tree logo. It feels like it's etched because you have this this cut edge here, but it doesn't have some of the time. Now these ones are etched, they're absolutely beautiful, but I have no idea what they would cost. I would consider outsourcing those. But the majority of these that I see are absolutely the ones that I would laser cut. Now, with this situation, with these Boston maps, I mean, you literally cannot do that with a cut. The intricacies and stuff like that, the coaster would fall apart. But I think the most amazing thing for these coasters that I'm seeing is people that make holders for these coasters. And like in this one that I brought up before in my current stream that didn't go well is that you have to make a holder in order for it to be gift. If you think about, that's what's really important, is to make a holder. So the two tips that I have for you is don't etch them, think about cutting, and then think about a holder. And that's what the most important thing is with that. Now, if you go through these here, another thing that I brought up in the stream before is that what's important is to take your photographs with your coaster in context, and that is with a cup. There's a lot of these versions that are on Etsy that don't have the cup. But some of these coasters like these are absolutely beautiful. I could give a tutorial. It's so funny because some of these coasters, I just Googled laser cut coasters, and they just look phenomenal. I mean, this one with a stained wood, I, of course, go ahead and do all of your staining, all of your pre-cup before you mask. Don't do that afterwards. Unless you just don't want to mask, you can go ahead and you can do your all your work later. But like, for instance, these stained coasters right here, I would go ahead and stain those before that I laser cut them, okay? So now we're just kind of moving down the ways. Of course, for $12, you can buy hundreds of different designs. So there's really no reason why that you shouldn't be doing the design. I did, you notice in this situation here, this nice tiny wrap, this craft wrap, was really, really important in terms of packaging. I'm looking at these coasters right here with the skylines. Skylines are pretty easy to do, and I like that. These are some random designs. Again, here's one where it's not that great of a holder. This is a 3D mock-up that looks like it was done in Fusion, but this is a good attempt to make a laser cutter holder, holder. I'm actually working on some Avenger ones. You just have to Google the images and then trace them. And then again, these geometric ones are really super cool. What a fun thing. I look at these acrylics. I'm not a huge fan of acrylic because of the smell lately, but I really love these. Of course, painting them, things start looking non-laser cut when you actually paint them. So that's what's important. Maybe coasters don't have to be round. Like, for instance, I think this skeleton here, this floral skeleton is not round, but it looks pretty cool. Oh, here's a really good example of a holder right here. This holder is got the tabs that are here. It looks like it was actually designed for this. So I really like this particular holder. So what I'm suggesting is, no matter what coasters you sell, you have a cup of coffee or a glass of water that's doing in the photo, and you design a holder. And I'm sure you could find one of these, but this is by far is one of my favorite holders so far. I would just make a top for it. This guy has got another holder. Here's one that is pretty cool. He actually did etching or a decal in it. I love that, but it's a little too closed off for me. I'd want to see the coasters. So many cool ideas out here, guys. So many. Like, this one's kind of interesting. Juice. Oh, here's a nice holder right here. Look, this guy actually made one. It's a little frou-frou for me, but I like that a lot. But again, this is my favorite one right here, this particular holder. So anyways, I got a few people here. I said Carl is joining me. I don't know who else is online. If you're watching, please go ahead and put your name in the chat and say hi. But I am kind of figured out what was going on with my stream. So if you just have confidence in me and join me next Friday at 4 o'clock, I promise things will be crystal smooth, even if I have to dig a hole and steal Google Fiber from one of my neighbors. But If you have any topics, please put them in the chat. Even if this video is up later on, I would really appreciate that. But I hope you're enjoying your laser cutter. I am definitely enjoying mine. I'm working on a state map right now, an adventure map to travel, because my dream is to... Hey, Ryan, what's going on? How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you, man. And so what I'm doing for this last project here is I'll bring it up. I think I brought this up last Friday. But these are the states. So this is the laser map that I'm working on that I put up on Facebook, and so it has these little states in here, and it can be put up with just out this, or it can be put up with this. But what I'm thinking is, if you look at this, these could be coasters. So here's all the states inside this little bag. But you could take Texas, for instance, and just make 4 of these for a coaster. You don't really have to. And I don't, like I was suggesting before, because I know Ryan's on and he's got a CNC machine. Hey, John, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for saying hi. 3D printing gear. Good to see you, man. So these right here could be a coaster. Now, one of the things that I think that could happen is that I suggested that the engraving takes a long time, and someone that's a CNC guy like Ryan that's on, you may want to think about making little metal stamps. And the way that you would make a metal stamp is, or you could do a rubber stamp, but you could go get someone to make them. So for instance, I think if you printed this with a hot stamp, like a iron, go get an iron, you can order the actual name Texas and put that in there. What I'm suggesting is coasters don't have to be round. I think if you gave 4 of these to people, they would really like to put a Texas map. Matter of fact, it's about to break the norm of making coasters round. Make some oblong coasters. So I think that that's what's important. So let's go back and look at these. So I'm looking at... Oh, I like that. K40, that's awesome. So I think that obviously when you put these quotes in again, so if I could share anything with you guys, and I'm repeating myself, is I would not focus on engraving. Engraving takes a long time. It always looks cool, but what I would focus in on, and especially if you're the 3D printing gear guy, if you think about printing a part of your design, think when you make something, think about how long it takes to create it, and what would you charge? If that price is so high that you're resentful, that you feel like you're not really making a difference in the world, then you need to come up with ways to increase your production time or shorten that down. And I found that what was really interesting, if you look at like what a laser cutter does compared to a 3D printer, it does this subtractive thing. So it's taking things out. Well, a die stamp, when I was in packaging, worked way faster than a laser cutter. So if you come up with the design, you are still in prototyping. If you got a coaster that's selling like hotcakes, think about getting it manufactured somewhere else, that someone could make a stamp or maybe do it in leather, and maybe your customers would be really happy with that. So I would steer clear from engraving right at first. Think about stamping. Think about heat stamping. Think about, I lost my words here with, what's the thing that you do with cattle? You brand them? Yeah, you brand them. So one of the things that I mentioned just a little bit ago that I think it's important even for CNC is that you do all of your pre-work, your clear coat and stuff like that before you laser cut it. Now, when you prototype, don't worry about it. But if you really want to be and make money with coasters, you can't spend the time to individually cover them. They're already cauterized. Now with CNC, you may need to put a clear coat on them, but with laser cutting, you're cauterizing the edge, so you don't really need to worry about that. But these are really cool because these are some of the textures that I would actually think about creating some of the like this guy sanded the, is this the Packer logo? And who would make Amazon coasters? I have no idea. I get the Starbucks ones. I like the Starbucks ones a lot. And I like some of these finishes, but this guy knocked it out with the finishes. I'm also thinking that you're going to want a tighter grain on your coasters. Like I think the grain on this Starbucks coaster is pretty nice. And I think that the way that they sanded this Packer logo, I think that's pretty cool. Oh, brand. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. And then here's an example of coasters that are not circular. All right. And all right, here's another pro tip. By the way, if you're ever sharing something, and I've noticed that Ryan that's on puts some of his signs that he makes on his CNC machine up on Facebook, make sure that you're deliberate and tell people that you're for hire. Even if you're not, there's no sense putting things up on there. If you want to perfect your skills, there's nothing more efficient than actually having a physical job to do. Okay? So you think that you want to be like a laser cutter, fanatic, the go-to guy. Make sure you're starting to deliver orders. It's not for what you need to do right now. It's what you will need to do in the future. So if you can get some orders for some coasters, I think you should go ahead and jump on that. I think we're going to wrap this stream up in 9 minutes at 5:30 to let you guys have your evening back. And so I think holidays are really cool, something to grab onto. Again, here's one that was done really in nice context. I was telling you that the picture that you do, you have to put it in context what it is. I would say that, for if you're making a sign or if you're making other thing else, put it in front of the house. Show people what the size is that they're going to get. And I think for coasters, I think a lot of people are doing these pictures that look like signs, but really they're small things that you would put next to your buddy's cocktail that evening. That you would just, hey, make sure you use a coaster or think about something better, some witty sayings. I mean, I'm looking at these and I'm not seeing any like really cool, fun sayings, like one word. I mean, all these are all beautiful, the ones that it came up with, but I'm not seeing anything super cool. These are cool. These two color ones are nice. I like the Phoenix ones, but why isn't that the map of Phoenix? I think there's a lot of opportunity to make money. Let's jump over to Etsy right now and look at laser cut coasters here. Let's see who's selling these things a lot. So Honeycomb, when I search for laser cut coasters, and I urge you that if you don't have an Etsy shop, even if you have your own shop, please create an Etsy shop because you need these reviews to be high. So this guy's got Avery Wood Shop. He's got 744 sales. I don't believe he gave it context. This is not a great picture because I think you need to have a white cup. He went ahead and put his favorite cup, and it just doesn't show really good contrast. Lots of intel in these reviews, guys. You can tell what people are buying, okay? Lots of intel there. But I'm looking at something. I'm going to see whether or not I can filter it by the top customer reviews. So he gave top customer reviews. All right, so Star Wars, that's an interesting one. So I really like, these are all the places in Star Wars. That's super cool. I don't know if it's worth the lawsuit, but I think, oh well. I think if you're not selling the actual digital plans, I think you're going to be okay. But I certainly would sell laser cut Star Wars stuff. I don't have a problem with that. Some of these are better than others. Good photo here with these wood coasters. I think that we all have really good phones right now that can take them. This is done. It's got some good depth of field, almost a little too much. Too blurry here. Again, no cup inside in the picture that shows that. It's just not well done with that. And then, of course, the acrylic. I'm not a huge fan of acrylic. So when you talk about acrylic coasters, they don't absorb water, and these are acrylic trophies. But again, I'm looking at the majority of them. Here's one that their words, honestly, this wouldn't last. A little bit of water and that would fall apart. So he's got 3,500 sales right now. That's pretty awesome. So you can go back and look. So again, what I did is I searched for laser cut coasters and I put in top customers. So, all right. So, all right. Yeah. Ryan says he's doing ornaments. I think ornaments are incredible. So being at if I could go on that, Ryan, in terms of offering you guys something, and I'm sorry about my dog, but all right, this is the last thing I'm going to leave with you guys, is that when I was at the flea market this summer, and I stopped going before it got too hot, the number one thing that sold is something that connected someone else, and it was usually pets. So I would really think about, for your ornaments, to do something where you can add a name, a sports team, a dog, a cat, a child, or something like that that connects with someone. And then what you want to do is make sure, whether or not it's listed on your website or if it's listed at a flea market, make sure there's only one of them. It's called the scarcity mentality, and they think that you can't make any more. Don't let people know that you're making these by the droves, right? So with ornaments, obviously the year 2021 better than 2020, and we got tons of other things that you could do. But for ornaments, you kind of have to be very nostalgic and traditional. But for other stuff, you can do that. This is cool. This guy's engraving pencils right here. That's really cool. So he says, pencil jig for laser cutter. You guys could make that. I think you could do that. Yep. So anyways, all right, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Thank you so much. All right, so listen, we figured some things out with this stream. Thank you so much for being here. 4 o'clock next Friday, Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about laser cutting. If you want to bring your CNC questions, that's fine. But I really look forward to kind of learning with you guys and also seeing what that you're working on. Next week, I am going to have the Zoom after the call. So join the Facebook group. It's called facebook.com/makers online. So I put it in the link description too. But anyways, that's it, guys. I will talk to you. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you online. And then I'm going to be posting my video on the adventure map this weekend. All right. Take care. Bye.